Hi everyone, my name is Siobhan Davids and today I am reviewing the Adidas Adipower CTRL Team for 2024. The first thing that I noticed, and some of you may notice as well, is how deep sounding this racket is. I'm personally a fan of the deeper sound profiles, and off this foam, it really booms off the racket. Now, what's also interesting is that I'm struggling to miss the sweet spot. I'm actively trying to not hit in the middle of the racket, and I'm still getting that responsive, soft, bouncy feel of the foam. And because this racket is really catered for intermediate tier players, I think this is perfect. Even a beginner picking this racket up will not struggle at all to control the power, and it's really easy on my shoulder, really easy on my elbow. Well done Adidas for making this such an easy racket to play with. So, being an intermediate tier racket, Adidas really made this look more premium than others in a similar range from other brands. What I think they've cleverly done is made the frame, the neck and the outer edges of the racket more matte in terms of its finish, and then they've highlighted the glossiness by combining it with this rough surface that kind of looks like stars. So whether it's floodlights or whether it's the sun hitting at the right angle, you can really see this glistening starlight kind of effect that it has on the surface. Really does look more premium than other rackets in this tier, and I think no one is going to pick this racket up and immediately get this cheap plastic aesthetics. Because of the responsive foam and the large sweet spot, volleys and overheads is quite a pleasure. What you might miss is the leverage that you get from a higher sweet spot racket like the Metalbone Team. But if you are purchasing this racket, you are looking for that control, and that's exactly what this racket delivers in terms of the volleys and the overheads. You really do feel like you have control, and the soft performance foam really gives you the sensation of a soft, absorbent kind of foam on the ball. Really feels like the ball is being cushioned on the surface of the racket, and then it's just sitting there waiting for you to place it. The overheads, like I said, not lacking too much power, just lacking that leverage that you'd expect from a higher sweet spot racket. But being a center sweet spot racket, the responsiveness is perfectly adequate for your overheads, especially if you want to finish the shot. I didn't feel like I was lacking too much in terms of the leverage or the power. What I do think is that when you make contact with a sweet spot, which is incredibly large, you just need to be conscious and mindful of the fact that this surface is not going to give you an amazing amount of spin. It's not just aesthetics, it does give you some access to spin, but it doesn't make as much of a difference as the CrossFit, for example. Adidas really ticked all the boxes with this intermediate tier racket. Being a team model, it really is supposed to cater to the beginner to intermediate range of players, and this really does achieve that. Very easy to play with. The foam is extremely forgiving on the shoulder and the elbow. The foam is also very responsive in a way that you have completely effortless power, and what really stands out on this racket is the sweet spot. I struggle to not hit the sweet spot on this racket. It is absolutely massive. Compared to other intermediate tier rackets, this is probably the biggest sweet spot. So if you want to learn the game, this is definitely a no-brainer. You won't have to stress too much about the power. You can really just focus on your technique and trying to refine your shot as a whole. Any intermediate player that wants a center sweet spot racket and very forgiving foam is really going to enjoy this racket.